So I want to keep going into detail on this idea of self-forgiveness and acknowledging the parts of yourself that have been stuffed down and the pain that's been avoided and all this whole idea of forgiving past versions of yourself and these hurt parts of yourself that they still continue to live inside your body on an energetic level. And when they don't get acknowledged and embraced with warmth without indulging in it, which I will go in more detail about, but yeah, when they're not acknowledged, they continue to still run in the background of your mind because they're still in your energy body, they're still in your system. And they continue to essentially dictate your life and causing self-sabotage and all these things that you're like, hey, I don't want to be doing these things, but I just feel like I'm a slave to these negative patterns and negative thought patterns. From my growing perspective, it's all from having a negative relationship to the past hurt versions of your own self. Whatever has happened, there's still a hurt part of yourself. Take the situation out of it. There's still a hurt part of yourself that, if it hasn't been accepted, is continuing to use survival patterns against you to get you to not see opportunities, to self-sabotage the opportunities you do get, to try and stay in its comfort zone. Because these hurt parts are trying to run the show and trying to keep you safe, because these parts don't feel safe expanding. And this is where self-acceptance and self-love really comes into the picture, where when you have an opened heart center, like just radiating love and forgiveness for the self, like for the past hurt parts of yourself, that energy will just warm everything that touches it, right? So in my case, when I talk a lot about the fear of being seen, of course, and the only way I'm able to move through that with progress and continue to make these videos is by essentially welcoming that hurt part back to the surface and radiating love and acceptance towards it, like just feeling warmth towards it, like saying, like, whenever this came up through childhood, through teenage years, of like, I'm just radiating that love towards it so I don't stay stuck being a slave to it as a survival mechanism, but instead I am trying to integrate it and just welcome it in and embrace it. Like, imagine yourself hugging a past version of yourself that got hurt, and this is a practice of self-acceptance that I think for me at least, it's become a huge pillar to move forward in life instead of staying stagnant and stuck in unconscious patterns that I don't necessarily want to be stuck in. And the reason why negative self-talk is so prevalent is because when you have these unforgiven, hurt parts of yourself in the background, that energy sort of resonates at the same frequency of negative self-talk, you could say. But this negative self-talk just resonates with the same energy as the hurt part of yourself, because it's being resisted, it's being rejected, and that manifests itself as all this negative self-talk, and then we wonder why our minds are so crazy, like chatty, and it feels so chaotic in there. It's because of all these hurt parts that have been repressed and unacknowledged and haven't been accepted, essentially. And what I'm trying to say in this is, like, when you attempt to forgive the hurt parts of yourself. There can be a lot of fear around it. I mean, there was and still this comes up in forms of fear, which is just the negative self-talk, the parts trying to, they don't feel safe getting seen in the light because, well, not the part that doesn't feel safe, it's the negative thought forms that are attached to it, essentially. There's a lot of metaphysical things going in the background and in these negative patterns that we have. But essentially, when you attempt to forgive these hurt parts of yourself, what I'm not saying to do is to let the hurt parts come up and just totally run your life. I mean, in a sense, they already are doing that when they're so stuffed down and repressed and not embraced with your warmth and acceptance. But what I mean by forgiving the hurt parts of yourself is, I mean, it's this decision you make that, okay, you're done investing your energy in keeping them, stuffed down, and you're afraid to acknowledge the pain. You decide that this hasn't worked. It's keeping me stuck in the same patterns. I've tried, just meditating them away, and which is just suppressing them. Like, it's just not really the correct way to meditate, but I've made a lot of mistakes along the way that have helped me realize, like, I need to acknowledge and forgive these hurt parts of myself. Like, I've tried just think positively, toxic positive thoughts, super hard discipline, like David Goggins style, just like go, go, go. And all that is it doesn't fully work with these unforgiven and hurt parts that are just still unacknowledged in the background. Like, for me, things are really just starting to make sense and shift the more I open my heart. Like, the more I forgive myself in meditation and, like, acknowledging the memories. If the memories occur of, like, something that happened in the past and I still get a negative bodily reaction to even the thought of it, that's an indication of this is a hurt part of myself from that visual scene I just saw in my mind, or that memory. And so my job now is to slowly, gently go into that with a warm embrace and say, like, just imagine yourself as a ball of light or something. That's what I like to do, as a ball of light in that past scene, and just visualize yourself, like, embracing this hurt part that feels cold and shut down with warmth, with openness, with encouragement, saying, like, like, you're just anything that comes to your mind of your heart, of just saying, like, I accept you as you are. Like, it's okay. You're gonna make it through. Just, whatever that version of you needs to hear in that particular situation. But I'm gonna go more into depth on this, as I keep practicing this, because this is something that, I'm really starting to embody, and really right away I start to see the shifts, because it's really been the missing piece for such a long time for me. Of, like, I've done all the meditations, the breath work, all the yoga and all these things, but without really getting real and saying, like, look, there are hurt parts of myself that are not acknowledged, that I've been running away from, that I've been avoiding. And it's not doing me any good anymore to investing all of my energy to pushing them down. That's a lot of work, and it's really not useful. And so this is kind of a theme that I'm going to keep going into detail throughout these videos, and I hope it resonates, because for me this is really where like spirituality and like self-therapy really comes to life, is through this self-acceptance, right? Because of what I've talked about, of how accepting it doesn't mean, like, oh, you win, hurt part of me, keep running my life, whatever. But I mean, like I've been saying, to really, like, warmly embrace it and say, like, I forgive you. Like, I'm sorry this happened to you. And we're learning to grow and evolve through it as I, accept what happened and I move through it, and I warmthly embrace myself through it, and everything that happened after is just a reflection of me trying to push it down, and that hasn't worked. So it's an opportunity of surrender in the most empowered way.